Reading stories is a great way to improve your English. Listening to them is also a fantastic method. But what if we can read them and listen to them at the same time? Now that's the ultimate English learning strategy. So you can do it with classics like Pride and Prejudice, Harry Potter, or even Lord of the Rings. The only problem is that these stories are so long. It takes so much time. That's why in today's podcast, I'm going to read you 4 short stories about completely different topics. And I'd encourage you to read and listen at the same time. Well, let's get started. Are you ready? I hope so. Enjoy and listen as I read it as well. And the first story is called A Chance Encounter in London. So, let's begin. It was a chilly evening in London, and the streets glimmered under the soft glow of streetlights. Clara hurried down the cobbled lanes, her umbrella shielding her from the drizzle. She had just finished her shift at the cafe and was looking forward to a quiet evening at home. Little did she know, this ordinary night would turn into an unforgettable experience. As she approached the corner of King's Cross, she nearly collided with a man carrying a stack of books. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Clara exclaimed, helping him gather the fallen volumes. "No problem at all," he replied, smiling warmly. His name was Daniel, an aspiring writer who had moved to London a few months ago. There was an instant spark between them, a connection that neither could ignore. "I don't usually bump into people in such a chaotic way," Daniel said, handing her a book. "But I guess some encounters are meant to happen." Clara laughed softly. "I suppose so. I'm Clara, by the way." "Daniel," he said. "It's a pleasure to meet you." They walked together for a few minutes, talking about books, music, and life in London. Time seemed to fly by effortlessly, as if the city itself had given them a momentary pause from reality. Over the next few weeks, Clara and Daniel started meeting regularly. They visited quaint bookshops, strolled along the Thames, and shared coffee in hidden cafes. Each encounter brought them closer, and both began to realize the depth of their feelings. One rainy afternoon, they found themselves sitting on a bench in Hyde Park, watching the droplets create ripples on the pond. Daniel took a deep breath. "Clara, I know we haven't known each other for long, but I can't help feeling drawn to you." Clara's heart skipped a beat. "I feel the same way," she admitted softly. From that moment on, their relationship blossomed. They supported each other's dreams. Clara encouraged Daniel to write his first novel, while Daniel helped Clara with her photography projects. They learned to communicate openly, resolve misunderstandings, and cherish the small, meaningful moments together. It wasn't always smooth sailing, but they knew the challenges were worth facing. One evening, Daniel invited Clara to a rooftop restaurant overlooking the city skyline. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden hues across the buildings, Daniel reached into his pocket. "Clara, these past months have been the happiest of my life. I can't imagine a future without you. Will you marry me?" Tears welled up in Clara's eyes. "Yes, Daniel, yes!" They hugged tightly, the city lights sparkling like stars around them. It was a moment that would remain etched in their memories forever. Planning the wedding was an adventure in itself. They navigated through guest lists, invitations, and floral arrangements, all the while learning to compromise and embrace each other's quirks. Their friends often teased them, saying they were hopelessly in love. But Clara and Daniel didn't mind. They knew that their bond was special, built on trust, laughter, and a shared passion for life. On the day of the wedding, the sun shone brightly, and the ceremony took place in a small, picturesque chapel. Clara walked down the aisle in a delicate lace dress, while Daniel waited at the altar, his eyes glistening with emotion. As they exchanged vows, they promised to support one another, to communicate honestly, and to treasure each passing day together. After the ceremony, they danced under fairy lights, surrounded by family and friends. Clara leaned her head on Daniel's shoulder and whispered, "I never imagined that a rainy evening in London could lead to this." Daniel smiled, kissing her forehead. Life has a funny way of surprising us. Some encounters are indeed meant to be. Years later, Clara and Daniel often recounted the story of how they met, reminding themselves to never underestimate the power of chance. Their love had grown stronger with time, nurtured by mutual respect, shared dreams, and countless adventures. They traveled together, laughed together, and faced challenges side by side. One rainy evening, as they walked hand in hand along the Thames, Daniel stopped and looked at Clara. "Do you remember our first encounter?" Clara smiled. "How could I forget? That day changed everything." "Exactly," Daniel said. "And I want us to continue creating memories that are just as extraordinary. No matter what life throws at us, I know we can face it together." Clara squeezed his hand. "I couldn't agree more. With you, every day feels like a gift." And so, in the heart of London, amidst the bustling streets and endless possibilities, Clara and Daniel's love story continued. A story of serendipity, growth, and a bond that would withstand the test of time. And that is it. That is the first story. What did you think? I don't know if you can tell, but it's almost like I'm crying. It was so romantic, so lovely, so beautiful. And of course, this is a love story. And this time of year around Christmas, you have lots of people who are watching classic Christmas films like Love Actually, The Holiday. To me, this story seems very, very cheesy, corny, very stereotypical, but it's beautiful nevertheless. And tell me, do you like reading love stories or watching romantic comedies? Personally, I'm not a big fan, but from time to time, I can admit that there are some love stories that are kind of, addictive. They can hook you and grab your attention. But that is the first story, and only the first out of 4. So let's keep going. Let me read another story to you. And of course, in these stories, there are lots of advanced words and phrases that are in bold, and I would encourage you to write down these words and phrases and look up the meaning. But from the context, I think you can kind of guess what each one means. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. So, story number 2, and it's all about Christmas. The title is The Christmas Wishlist Adventure. So let's begin. The first snow of December had just dusted the streets of Brighton, and the town sparkled under twinkling fairy lights. Lucy and her younger brother, Tom, were on a mission of epic proportions. finding the perfect Christmas presents for all the children in their family. "Do you really think we can finish shopping in one day?" Tom asked, shivering as he tugged at his scarf. Lucy grinned. "If we plan carefully, I'm confident we can. We just need to be strategically organized." They started their adventure at a bustling toy store, where the scent of cinnamon and pine mingled with the sound of cheerful carols. "Wow, look at all these toys!" Tom exclaimed, eyes wide with excitement. Dolls, action figures, board games, and puzzles lined every shelf. Lucy smiled, knowing that picking the right gift would require thought and patience. "Let's make a list and prioritize the hardest ones first," Lucy suggested. She pulled out a small notebook and began ticking off the names and ages of their cousins, nieces, and nephews. Their first stop was the electronics aisle. Tom's little sister, Emma, had asked for a tablet, and Lucy wanted to make sure it was both safe and age-appropriate. "We should take everything into consideration: price, durability, and battery life," Lucy said. After a few minutes of careful research, they picked a colorful, child-friendly tablet that came with protective casing. Next, they wandered into the craft section, where kits for painting, knitting, and building were displayed. "Oh, look at this science experiment kit," Tom said, holding up a box with tiny beakers and colorful powders. "Emma would love it." Lucy nodded. "That's a brilliant idea. It's educational, but still fun. Sometimes the most memorable gifts are the ones that spark creativity." By midday, they had visited half the stores on the list. The streets were filled with shoppers, each caught up in the festive frenzy, searching for the perfect presents. Lucy and Tom navigated the crowds carefully, occasionally stopping to admire the street performers dressed as elves and reindeer. Their next destination was the bookstore. Lucy wanted to pick out novels and picture books for the children who loved reading. "Books are timeless," she explained. "They encourage imagination, empathy, and curiosity. Plus, they're always a safe choice." Tom picked a brightly illustrated story about a magical winter adventure. "This one is perfect for Cousin Lily," he said. Lucy agreed, making a note to wrap it in shiny paper with red ribbons. After lunch at a quaint cafe, they headed to a small boutique that specialized in handmade gifts. Lucy's eyes sparkled as she admired the handcrafted wooden toys and hand-sewn stuffed animals. Sometimes going the extra mile to find something unique makes all the difference, she whispered to Tom. By late afternoon, their list was almost complete. Only a few presents remained. Gifts for their younger cousins, who were notoriously picky. Lucy and Tom brainstormed ideas, remembering the conversations they had overheard and the hints the kids had dropped. Finally, they decided on a set of interactive storybooks that allowed children to choose the ending, ensuring each child would have a tailor-made experience. As they approached the checkout, Lucy felt a wave of satisfaction. "We did it, Tom! Every gift on the list has been carefully selected." Tom nodded, hugging his pile of presents. "I can't wait to see their faces on Christmas morning. I hope they'll be absolutely thrilled." On the way home, they stopped at a cozy bakery to pick up mince pies and hot chocolate. Sitting at a small table by the window, they reflected on their day. Shopping for presents is fun, Lucy said. But it's the thought and effort that truly matter. The joy of giving is immeasurable. Tom grinned. Yeah, it's kind of like being Santa, isn't it? Lucy laughed. Exactly. We may not have a sleigh, but we're spreading happiness all the same. Back at home, Lucy and Tom spent the evening wrapping the presents with care. They added colourful ribbons, personalised tags, and a few festive stickers. Presentation is key, Lucy reminded her brother. It makes opening the gift feel even more special. Once all the presents were neatly stacked under the Christmas tree, they admired their handiwork. The lights reflected off the ornaments, and the smell of pine filled the room. I can already imagine the smiles tomorrow morning, Tom said softly. Lucy smiled, feeling warm inside. Christmas is more than just presents. It's about love, kindness, and making memories. The effort we put in now will create lasting joy. That night, as they hung their stockings and sipped cocoa, Lucy thought about the day. They had braved crowds, compared countless products, and made decisions big and small. Yet every challenge had been worth it. Giving gifts was not just about material things. It was about thoughtfulness, connection, and care. As Lucy drifted off to sleep, she whispered a quiet wish. May every child wake up tomorrow feeling special, loved, and full of wonder. And when Christmas morning arrived, the house was filled with laughter, squeals of delight, and the unmistakable magic of the season. Lucy and Tom and Lucy, watched as each child opened their carefully chosen gifts, and their hearts swelled with pride. The smiles on their faces were priceless, a perfect reminder that the spirit of Christmas was alive and well. And that's it, the spirit of Christmas. These brothers, Lucy and Tom, going shopping, buying all these thoughtful gifts to inspire creativity in their younger brothers, sisters, cousins. And of course, I'm recording this just before Christmas, and it's making me really excited about Christmas. And I've probably mentioned on the podcast before that I have a nephew. He's only 2 years old, so this is going to be his first real Christmas. And honestly, I'm buzzing. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to seeing how excited he gets when he rips open his presents, and then he'll have a huge smile on his face. Aw, cute, isn't it? Now let's keep going. We're not going to stop there. We are halfway through, and now we have the third story. And the title of the story is The Secret of Willowbrook. The Secret of Willowbrook. So, let's do this. The Secret of Willowbrook. In the quaint village of Willowbrook, life moved slowly. With misty mornings and cobbled streets lined with ivy-covered cottages. 13-year-old Eliza lived a quiet life, helping her grandmother tend the garden and reading tales of fantastical worlds. Little did she know that her own life was about to take a dramatic turn. One afternoon, while watering the roses, Eliza noticed something strange. The droplets of water hovered in the air, sparkling like tiny stars, instead of falling to the ground. That's odd, she whispered. As she reached out, the droplets swirled around her fingers, responding to her touch. A shiver ran down her spine. Her grandmother, Agnes, appeared at the garden gate. Eliza, you all right? She asked, noticing the glimmer in her granddaughter's eyes. Eliza hesitated. Grandma, I think I can make things move with my mind. Agnes smiled knowingly. I was hoping you'd discover it soon. You have inherited the family's magic. It's been passed down for generations, though it has lain dormant until now. Eliza felt a rush of excitement and fear. Magic? Really? Yes, Agnes said, taking her hand. But magic is not just about moving objects. It's about understanding the world, respecting its balance, and learning to control the power responsibly. It will require patience and dedication. Over the next few weeks, Eliza's life transformed. She practiced every morning in the garden, trying to lift flowers, make the wind dance, and even create tiny sparks of light. Some days she succeeded effortlessly. Other days, nothing worked. Frustration often threatened to overwhelm her, but she remembered her grandmother's advice. Persistence is key. One evening, as the sun dipped below the hills, Eliza ventured into the nearby forest, a place she had always loved for its serene beauty. Suddenly, she heard a faint whisper. Eliza, help us! She followed the voice and discovered a small clearing where a group of woodland creatures huddled around a fallen tree. Using her newfound abilities, she carefully lifted the trunk just enough for the animals to pass. They chirped and squeaked in gratitude, disappearing into the shadows. Eliza felt a sense of profound accomplishment. This was magic in action, and she had made a difference. As the days turned into weeks, Eliza learned to hone her skills. She experimented with levitation, elemental manipulation, and even subtle healing. However, she soon realized that magic came with responsibility. One afternoon, she accidentally caused a minor storm over the village, scattering laundry and startling the townspeople. She rushed to make amends and restore harmony, feeling deeply embarrassed. Her grandmother guided her patiently. Magic is like a river, Agnes explained. It flows naturally when respected, but it can cause chaos if forced. Always listen to your instincts, Eliza, and let your heart guide you. Eliza took these lessons to heart. She began to practice meditation, learn incantations from old family books, and observe nature carefully. Soon, her powers became more refined. Flowers bloomed at her touch. Breezes followed her footsteps, and even the most stubborn weeds in the garden surrendered to her guidance. Her confidence grew steadily, and so did her understanding of magic's true purpose: to protect, nurture, and inspire. One night, during a rare celestial event, when the moon aligned perfectly with the stars, Eliza felt a surge of energy unlike anything she had experienced. Her grandmother led her to the highest hill overlooking Willowbrook. Tonight, you will test your limits, Agnes said softly. Eliza closed her eyes, focusing on the harmony of the universe. The wind swirled, leaves danced, and starlight shimmered around her. With a deep breath, she extended her hands, channeling all her energy into a single act of creation. Flowers of every color erupted around her, forming a magical garden that sparkled under the moonlight. When she opened her eyes, she realized she had succeeded beyond her wildest dreams. A profound sense of purpose filled her heart. She understood that her powers were a gift, not a tool for selfish desire, and that she had a responsibility to use them wisely. From that night on, Eliza embraced her role as the guardian of Willowbrook. She helped the villagers in subtle ways, healing sick animals, guiding lost travelers, and ensuring the village remained harmonious. Her magic became known only to those who truly needed it, maintaining the delicate balance between wonder and secrecy. Eliza also discovered that magic was not only about the extraordinary. It was in the everyday kindnesses, a smile to a neighbor, a helping hand, a moment of understanding. Magic, she realized, could exist in the heart as much as in the hands. Years later, villagers spoke in hushed tones about the girl who could make flowers bloom with a touch, who brought gentle rain to thirsty gardens, and who protected the village from unseen dangers. Eliza, however, never sought fame. She knew that true magic was measured not by applause or recognition, but by the lives it touched and the love it inspired. As she stood in her garden one crisp morning, watching the sun rise over Willowbrook, Eliza whispered a quiet vow to continue learning, growing, and using her powers for good. The world was full of mysteries, and she was ready to embrace them all, with courage, compassion, and a heart open to magic. And that's it. That is the third story. Now, I think I did quite well there, because sometimes it's difficult to read these stories fluently and confidently and smoothly, but that time, yes, I didn't hesitate. I didn't get stuck and get trapped while reading, so come on. That's a little victory for me. But it's also an interesting story about magic and about this lovely girl, Eliza, who was the guardian of the village. She helped protect the village. But I'm running out of time because I've got a class very soon. By the way, if you'd like to join my classes, I'll leave a link in the video description. But let's do the fourth and final story, and hopefully I won't be late for class. We will see. So the fourth story is called The Case of the Vanishing Necklace. Let's go. It was a foggy evening in Liverpool, and Detective Hannah Cole walked briskly down the narrow streets. Her coat pulled tightly around her. She had been called to investigate a baffling crime at the luxurious Kensington Manor. A priceless necklace had vanished without a trace. Detective Cole, thank you for coming so quickly, said Lady Whitmore, the estate owner, wringing her hands nervously. It disappeared from the safe in my study. No one saw or heard anything unusual. Hannah nodded, already taking mental notes. I'll need access to the study and the list of everyone who was in the house today. She began her meticulous investigation, observing every detail. The position of the furniture, the faint scuff marks on the floor, and a window slightly ajar. The first suspect was the butler, Mr. Hughes. I didn't see anyone enter or leave the room, he claimed. I was in the kitchen all morning. Hannah raised an eyebrow, sensing that there was more to this story. Sometimes the simplest explanations hide the most intricate secrets. Next, she spoke to the housemaid, Clara, who looked unusually nervous. I didn't touch anything, Clara stammered. I was cleaning the guest rooms. Hannah made a note of her hesitation. Body language often reveals what words try to conceal. As she continued, Hannah inspected the safe. Nothing seemed out of place except a small smudge on the combination dial. Interesting, she murmured. Even the tiniest clue can unravel an entire mystery. Hours passed as Hannah questioned the staff, reviewed schedules, and examined every corner of the manor. Then she noticed a peculiar detail. The security camera footage had a brief blackout precisely when the necklace went missing. The timing seemed far too coincidental. Hannah decided to dig deeper. She requested a list of recent visitors and discovered that a renowned jewelry appraiser, Mr. Graham, had been at the manor earlier that day. He had handled the necklace during an inspection, and his credentials appeared legitimate. However, Hannah's instincts told her something was off. She visited Mr. Graham's office during the pretext of confirming details about the appraisal. The room was filled with certificates and photographs, but something felt staged. "I just want to ensure everything is in order," Hannah said casually, while chatting. She noticed a faint scratch on the corner of a desk and a faint smell of polishing chemicals. Subtle evidence often holds the key to solving the puzzle. Returning to Kensington Manor that evening, Hannah pieced together her observations. The blackout, the smudge on the safe, the suspicious behavior of the appraiser, and the nervous staff, all pointed to a carefully orchestrated plan. Criminals often rely on misdirection to cover their tracks, but they rarely consider every variable. Hannah called everyone to the drawing room. "The necklace was never truly stolen," she announced. Her voice calm but firm. Gasps filled the room. It was hidden temporarily by someone who wanted to create confusion and take advantage of the ensuing chaos. She turned to Clara. "Your nervousness gave you away. You were asked to retrieve the necklace from the safe and hide it for Mr. Graham, but your guilt made you slip up." Clara's face went pale. I didn't mean any harm," she whispered. Hannah continued, "And Mr. Graham planned to collect it later. However, he underestimated the diligence of the investigation. The plan seemed foolproof, yet it unraveled due to careful observation and critical thinking." The police arrived shortly after to take Clara and Mr. Graham into custody. The necklace was recovered, untouched and unharmed. Lady Whitmore breathed a sigh of relief. "Detective Cole, I don't know how to thank you enough." Hannah smiled. Attention to detail, patience, and understanding human behavior are as important as any forensic tool. Mystery can often be solved by observing what others overlook. As she walked away from Kensington Manor that night, fog curling around the street lamps, Hannah reflected on the case. Each person involved had acted out of fear, greed, or pressure, yet the truth had a way of emerging. Justice, though delayed, has a way of prevailing. Back at her apartment, Hannah poured herself a cup of tea and opened her notebook. She reviewed her notes carefully, understanding that every solved case was a lesson for the next. Crimes may be complex, but the human element is always the starting point, she murmured. The mind of a detective thrives on patterns, logic, and intuition. And so, the night passed quietly, but Detective Hannah Cole knew that another mystery awaited. In a city as vast and intricate as Liverpool or London, secrets are never truly hidden. They simply await discovery. And that's it. That is the fourth and final story. And maybe I rushed that one because I've got a class in a second. And I, didn't tell the story as well as the last one. So, my bad. Apologies. But in general, if you like these kind of videos where you can learn English through short stories, let me know in the comments and I'll make some more of them. And that's it. This is a fantastic way to improve your English by reading stories and listening to them at the same time. So I hope you liked it. Thanks for watching and making all the way to the end of the video, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, and bye-bye!